Hi, everyone. So it turns out the thing I really have to work on more than anything else for these YouTube live sessions is to turn off the camera when I'm done, because otherwise you get like hours and hours of live streaming of just my background here, which is Russian posters for how to make wax paste, and also my walls, and a Japanese poster of Elvis in Viva Las Vegas. Um, and when I spun around just then, because there's a delay on what I see, I got to see my bald spot. It's coming along nicely. Anyway, hi. Thanks for being here. Anybody who is here. This Let's see, what is there to talk about? Well, there's the very exciting tattoo. As promised, if I got to a certain number of donors, I would get the tattoo. And here, this is probably the best way to show it. Here it is. Lauren Devine in Portland, Oregon did this for me. It's still a little flaky, but that's to be expected. Oh, can't see all of it. I'll go like this, and then I'll wait for the camera lag to catch up. There it is. Okay. I think it goes well with my Goodwill Rick Springfield T-shirt. I think I'm really there. I think I'm doing well. Hi, Mary, and Michael. Everybody's got MT names. Let's all meet up in Montana, and yeah, okay, and listen to Minor Threat. I wanted to come up with one more set of initials. So this week on the show is Chelsea Urson from Dear Young Rocker. She is, I think it's a really interesting project that she's doing for a number of reasons. One, because it's a female perspective on rock and roll, which is so often kind of stifled and smothered. And she talks about that, how the idea of girls being noisy and girls being self-confident are kind of are abhorrent to a lot of our society. And she talks about how, like, if a woman plays a guitar, if there's a video on YouTube of a woman playing guitar, it'll make men very upset, even if she's just dinking around and having fun. There's also, like, if a woman is playing a guitar, a man will soon show up and tell her how to do it differently. It's one of those things. I imagine it's similar with auto repair and computers. But I like Chelsea a lot, and I like also that she has a whole podcast built around empathy and understanding to her younger self. And I think that's something that especially folks with the depression and the anxo have a hard time doing, because you look back on what's happened before and you think, oh, I was terrible then. That was embarrassing. And I think everybody feels that, but then you have to kind of move past it. Move through it. Don't move past it. Don't think you can get over the dread of the past. Just take a journey. On the old show, on the Hilarious World of Depression, I did a show with Dave Nadelberg of the Mortified podcast, and we talked a lot about that. Speaking of the old show, I was going to say it's coming back. It's not coming back, but there will be a new episode in the Hilarious World of Depression feed coming soon, and it will be a Depression Mode episode. They have agreed to include an episode, so I recorded a new intro today, kind of explaining what the show is, and then so we'll have that intro and then the Joel Kim Booster episode. So that, if you subscribe to Hilarious World still, if that's still on your docket, there'll be something new in it. And I don't want to say anything more about everything having to do with my former employer, but I will just say that I'm really glad this is finally happening, because if they're having money trouble at APM and they have to lay me off, that's something that happens in the world. But I think the shows that we do together, you and me and Gabe and Chrissy Pease at the old show, are more than entertainments. I think they're a big part of people's lives, and I don't take that lightly. And so I think if there are people, and I know that there's lots of people who have no idea that I'm doing the new show because they followed the old show and then it stopped updating, and they don't, I didn't exactly buy primetime TV commercial time, and I didn't buy the front page of the New York Times. I don't think you can, to announce the new show. So hopefully some people will get the idea and they'll move over. So that's good. So Chelsea Urson, it's definitely, I'm so thankful all the time that I have a producer in Gabe Mara, who is, for one thing, a really good producer, and for another thing, a generation younger than me. So he knows about Chelsea. He knows a lot of things that are of a different generation. When we did a video for the Kelly Williams Brown episode, I was like, well, let's do a video. Could we do a video? Do we know somebody who can edit a video? And Gabe was like, because Gabe's in his 20s, Gabe's like, yeah, I can edit a video. I think it's sort of like when I was in my 20s and somebody said, do you know how to get on the internet? Yeah, I can get on the internet. So I think there's a native understanding now of video editing. In fact, my daughter, my youngest, my 7th grader, took a video production class at her junior high. It's just one of the electives offered. Do theater, you do art, you do video production, because it's just part of what goes down now. Next week is the beginning of the August Newman Palooza. We have AC Newman of the New Pornographers on, and then Griffin Newman, the actor and comedian, the following week. AC Newman, I've been trying to get on for a long time. Had him on my old show, Wits, doing music one time. And I know his music really well. I know Nico, who's in the New Pornographers, really well. And AC, aka Carl Newman, and I have been Twitter friends for a long time. And we've been talking about getting him on the show to talk about Whiteout Conditions, which is a song off the album of the same name that he told me a few years ago, oh yeah, I'd love to come on and talk about that song. We finally got it worked out. It's a song that he wrote when he was in a nasty depression and anxiety. He'd been dealing with those his whole life, but it was especially acute because his sister was dying of cancer. And rather than be shut down from his creative work by strong emotions and personal upheaval, he just goes on writing songs anyway because he doesn't know how to not write songs. It's just a constant. And so he wrote Whiteout Conditions about, where his head was at when he sat down when he professionally had to write some lyrics. And so we talk about that. We kind of talk about different sections of that song. It's a little bit like Song Exploder. In the episode, I call it Song Imploder because of depression. And it's just a really, really interesting perspective on the creative process and on the kind of just the magic that is the creative process. I'm always wowed by musicians. I mean, I guess it's Musician Palooza lately because we had Chelsea this week and Carl Newman next week. But even though I am in a band, I write lyrics, I've been part of music in some way for a long time, it still feels like sorcery to me, especially when people who are really good create it. Like when Carl Newman just makes these, I don't know if you listen to the Brill Bruisers album by the New Pornographers, you should. And just what they can do with sound just really amazes me. So we'll talk with Carl. Griffin Newman is next, and he's got all sorts of stories to tell. And I think we talked for an hour and a half. So I think I also then handed that to Gabe and said, good luck, chop that one down. But we have some ideas on how we're gonna cut around that and condense that. And then we're moving forward, doing some stuff for back to school, doing some stuff for about the Canadian boarding schools where they're finding bodies from Native children from a long time ago, and what that does psychologically to people, to Indigenous people, to those First Nations, to have this happening. And I think it's a kind of trauma that if you're not of that world, it's so horrifying you can kind of turn the other way. But we're not going to turn the other way. We're going to try to do some understanding of that. What else? Oh, Wits is coming back. So the show that I hosted for a while, music, comedy, variety show at the Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul, that show is going to be coming back. We're going to start doing those again, not nearly as often, a few times a year, and it's not through American Public Media. And so I've got all these things happening with my former employer, which is odd, because I still get stress-related nightmares about being laid off. So, maybe that's cathartic. I don't know. It's weird. It's such a weird world. So I got back from Seattle, did the tour of checking in with relatives haven't seen in a couple of years. I think a lot of people are doing that now. Be careful if you're doing those things. Be careful of what family means and what you want it to mean and what your goals are and what your approach is and what your decision making is on those trips. Went fine for me. It was good. But maybe you have a family where you just jump in and you don't even think about it. Good for you. But otherwise, be careful out there. All right. I think that's the debrief for now. Thank you so much for the nice words about the tattoo. It is something I'd been thinking of for a long time, but I think the fundraiser, the Max Fun Drive concept really kind of pushed it into existence, which was good. And my 13-year-old daughter came along with me. Marge came along with me to the tattoo parlor, to the tattoo salon, which was a lot of fun. So she got to be part of the decision-making process of how to angle it and where to put it. And be careful of family, and bring teenagers along to your tattoo appointments. I guess that's the learning now. Play music, and play it loud, and write songs. That's all for now. All right. Thank you, everybody.